Welcome to the E-commerce Profits Podcast, where we feature top founders and experts in the e-commerce industry and take an in-depth look at the struggles and successes in growing e-commerce brands profitably.
Josh Chin here. I'm the host of the E-commerce Profits Podcast, where we feature top experts in the e-commerce industry and we go behind the scenes of the struggles and successes in growing a brand. Now, this episode is brought to you by Chronos.agency. If you're a direct-to-consumer e-com brand that is ready for next-level growth and to unlock the optimal lifetime value of your customers through email marketing, Chronos is your company. Now, we've helped over 300 brands get over $70 million in return from email alone, and our clients get an average of 3,500% ROI from our efforts. We've worked with brands like Truly Beauty, The Oodie, The Beard Struggle, and many more. So the next step is to email us at sales@chronos.agency. You can go to chronos.agency to learn more. And today's guest I have with me, Colleen Taylor, is the Chief Operating Officer at Boom by Cindy Joseph. Along with her team, she's responsible for over $30 million in revenue in 2020 alone. She's also the co-author of Smart Project Management at smartmarketer.com. Go check that out, smartmarketer.com. She's also a snowboarder and has been a snowboarder since the year 1987, was it, Colleen?
1987. It's a long time.
That's amazing. And
now, that does not mean I'm super skilled at it. I'm good, but yeah, I've just been doing it for a really long time.
There's a thing that I say. I believe that every high performer has an obsession over something at every point in their lives. And in every interview that I conduct, I always include this question, like, what are you currently obsessed about? If that person says, I'm not obsessed about anything, that's typically a bad sign. To me, at least. That's going to be my first question to you, Colleen. So do you agree with that statement?
Yeah, I definitely think that, and I am obsessed with something which I will reveal to you. It may seem odd to you, but I don't know. But yeah, I agree with the statement as far as I think that, high achievers really like when we get into something, we get into it. We get into it deep. We get into it wide. We just want to know everything about it. And yeah, so my current obsession is it's called washi. So it's Japanese papers.
Oh.
And it's Japanese paper. So it's handmade, made out of rice, like a rice paper. And then it's hand silk screened with multiple layers of, it's like a handcrafted, the most beautiful, tactile, just delicious. I don't know how to describe it, but just the most amazing artisans make this paper. And I have like a little side hustle. I make a little stationery, like little cards and greeting cards and blank cards and things, just kind of to give out to friends as gifts. And right now, the paper that I am obsessed with, #paper obsessed, is this Japanese washi paper. Yeah, I'm into it.
That is so cool. That's so cool. And for those who don't really know who you are and your background, can you give us a quick brief kind of run through of your career up to this point? I know it's a lot, and you've worked with some incredible people, including Ezra Firestone currently. Shout out to Ezra and smartmarketer.com. And so yeah, give us a quick intro of who Colleen Taylor is.
Yeah. So I'll give you. I'll start way back in initially. I went to college for fine arts. So, which is why I am currently obsessed with making stationery and little pieces of art. Like I'm all about creating little art. And stationery happens to be a nice, neat little medium. I used to throw ceramics, not throwing them, but that's what they call it when you make it on a potter's wheel. You're throwing ceramic. I used to do that. I did some painting. Photography was actually my major in college. I had a minor in graphic design. So I came from a very creative background. And I thought, I was living in Jersey at the time. right near New York City. And I got my degree and I thought, the last thing I want to do is live in Jersey and be what they call a bridge and tunnel rat, which basically means you work in the city because that's where all the good jobs are in the art field, right? And you either take the bridge or you take the tunnel. So you are a bridge and tunnel rat. So you're going over there to work and you're coming back to Jersey to sleep and you go back there. So that's what they call them, at least back in that day. Hopefully that's not offensive to anyone, but that's what they call them. And I was like, I don't want to be a bridge and tunnel rat. I would like to enjoy my life and my existence. And, you know, I'm sure there's some career that I can find or create for myself that doesn't involve me getting on a subway or, you know, a bus every day and going into Manhattan. Even though I love Manhattan, spent tons of time there during art school. So I moved to California. I said, all right, I'm going to take my degree and I'm going to move out to San Diego, which is where I moved and where I currently live. And basically there was this thing back then, it was about 97 when I moved to San Diego. And there was this thing called the internet that was starting to get popular and like everybody was on the computer. And I was like, you know, I get it, but I don't get it. I want to understand this a little bit more. So I came out to San Diego without a job, just sort of like ready to find my way. And but I thought I have to get a job. I looked in the newspaper, you know, those big things, like all these things, like we don't even use them
What
anymore.
is that?
The newspaper, opened up the newspaper to the classified section, kids, like that's what it was called. And looked for a job. And there was a job opening it was for a customer service rep for an internet startup. And I was like, oh, there's that internet thing again. Startup, I'm going to go find out what that's all about. So I went to this interview and I was like, show me what, you know, like this internet thing. And basically I was the customer service rep for this internet startup. And after hours, I would stay behind and I would, I asked the owner of the company, I said, you know, I have a graphic design degree and like, I'm looking at your website, this website thing. Again, like these were all new terms. And I was like, I think I could make it look better. You know, I'm a designer. I feel like I could make it look better. It looks kind of like, where do you find stuff? So it was really the beginnings of, I'll say, you know, GUI, graphic user interface. Like you want to make it so that it's user friendly. And I was like, you know, I think I could make it look better, but I have no idea how this works. I worked with, you know, pen and ink and, you know, had to like rent an hour on the computer when I was in college because there was only 3 computers in the art lab, you know, like, I don't know, you know, I would have no idea how to make this web page. So he said, well, stay after work today and I'll show you how it, and then you can, you know, I'll take you up on it. If you can make it look better, great. So he showed me how to right click on a web page, right click, view source. So you know how you can view the source of the page? Well, back then it was like straight up HTML, just super like basic HTML. He said, right click source. I viewed the source of this web page and that was it. That was the beginning of my new life. I was like, this code, HTML, what is this? How can I learn it? And I essentially went from that day at work, went to the library, another old foreign term, you know, like at the library, that building with the books in it. And I went in, I didn't have a computer at home. I went into the library and I checked out books on all sorts of markup language, like HTML, SGML, VRML, any kind of markup language. And I was like, opened the books, started writing code longhand in a notebook. And then, you know, the next day I would go back to work and work all day. And then at the end of the workday, I would type in what I had studied in the books and then view the page and see what I made. And I taught myself HTML that way. So I figured out how to like move things around and make tables. And again, HTML, all the, you know, these languages have all evolved so much. Now you got to know CSS and you got to know all these other things. But back then it was like, you could make a little career out of, you know, building web pages in straight up HTML. And so I learned it. I taught myself HTML. And then I moved into, I got my first job in a real company. That company went under. And I got a job I could do coding. I could also do graphic design. So I was sort of like a double threat. I could do both. And, just sort of moved up for the next couple years, did freelancing and worked for a couple companies. And then I met Eben Pagan, who I don't know if you know Eben Pagan, but Eben is sort of like, they call him the OG of internet information product marketing.
Yep.
So at the time, Eben had a book called Double Your Dating, and he was building, it was an ebook, and he was building, a back-end library of products so that you buy the ebook, and now we upsell you to these other products. So I learned the business of how to market the ebook. At the time, we weren't marketing on Facebook. I started working for him in 2005, maybe 2004, 2005. So, there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, there was no Skype, there was no Zoom. It was just, we did, I think it was conferencecall.com. That's how we all got on business meetings and stuff. But I got to see the technology evolve over time, and essentially, learned how he would film and cut and create these back-end products. At the time, we were printing them on DVDs and CDs, like old school, man, old school. And I worked for Eben until 2013. So I worked for him for a good solid 8 years and learned everything. I owe him so much just in terms of like opening my eyes, opening doors to like just new technology and meeting new people.
That's incredible. And are you still in contact with Eben?
On just Facebook, I see him here and there, comment on things. The last time I saw him was at an event called Genius Network with Joe Polish. It's Joe Polish's, it's his event, and it was in Arizona. I want to say it was like, I was already working full-time with Ezra, so it wasn't that long ago. I want to say 2 or 3 years ago. And Eben was there, and I got to see him. And so, amazing. We know each other very well, but I don't really keep in close contact with him. So I worked there till 2013. And then I was just ready to move on, ready to take my knowledge. I felt like I had learned so much. I want to go, and bring it somewhere else and see what else I can do. And I went to work for Ryan Dice and Perry Belcher and the guys at DigitalMarketer. So Roland Fraser.
Shout out to DigitalMarketer.com.
Yes,
nice.
Yeah, DigitalMarketer. And I didn't work there for a long time, maybe about 6 months or so. But this was like pivotal in where I, in my career and really where I'm at right now. I owe a lot of it to DigitalMarketer and of course Eben. But and by the way, a little side story here. I thought I know everybody, I know so many people in the industry because working with Eben, but when I was ready to kind of like look for something else, I was like, I'll just put my feelers out when I'm ready. So I had told my husband, like, kind of, I think I'm ready to like move to the next stage of my career. I think I'm going to start looking around. And he said, oh, my friend, again, we live in San Diego. He said, oh, my friend Roland, I was telling him about you and that you work for Eben Pagan. He was like, oh, I must meet your wife right away. Eben is like legendary in this industry. And so my husband said, my friend Roland wants you to meet him for coffee. So I went and met Roland Fraser for coffee in San Diego.
Wow.
And I didn't know, I knew who Ryan Dice was and Perry Belcher because they were sort of like the outward facing. Now, of course, Roland is like, he's customer facing, he's out there on stages and all that. But at the time, he was not. He was kind of like I'll say the silent genius behind, what was going on at DigitalMarketer. And so I didn't know who Roland Fraser was. I just knew my husband knew him. So I went and had coffee with Roland one day and, we talked about what I did for Eben, and he said, why don't you come and do that for my company? And I was like, I mean, sure, I'm entertaining ideas. Like, I'm definitely looking to go, move on. And I said, so what is your company? And he's like, oh, I'm with DigitalMarketer, Ryan Dice and Perry Belcher. And all of a sudden I went from like, oh, cool, meeting this guy Roland, to like, oh my gosh, like, you're digital marketer? I was a little bit starstruck, I have to say. And, Roland is an amazing person, and basically said, come on down to Austin. We'll do a little interview. And, basically, I think this will work out. So I did go down to Austin, met with Ryan and Richard and Perry and Roland. And essentially they hired me. And at that time, they were all in an office. I think they might, I'm not sure with COVID, what's happening with their office situation, but I was used to 8 years of working from my house with Eben. Like there was never any office to go into or anything. So I was like, okay, I will, I will go to the office, but like, I'm not moving to Austin, Texas. Like I'll go there to meet everybody, and then I'm going to work from home. Is that cool? And they were like, yeah. In fact, we're moving into potentially, having virtual workers anyway. So like, that'll be great. We'll see how it works. And, I think because they were still at the beginning stages of evolving their business into a virtual, or even like a part-time virtual, they were used to having everybody
semi-remote kind of a thing. Yeah.
Right. They would ask me to come down for, a week at a time. And it started to become like almost every month. They were like, hey, come on down for a week. We're having this meeting. We want you there. We're meeting these people. And frankly, I loved the work. The work was fun. But I was like, oh, I leave my kids home every time my kids were younger. They were, I think they were 9 and 11 at the time.
Okay.
And I just felt like I'm definitely not moving there. And this is not conducive to the home life that I envisioned for myself and my family. So I started to have these feelings of like, it's not really working out, but I was in it. I was like, I'm going to tough it out and see how I can make it work. And then they said, hey, we want you to manage a project with this guy named Ezra Firestone. And I was like, okay, cool, Ezra Firestone. So Ezra and DigitalMarketer back in 2013 created a product together called the Brown Box Formula. It was Ezra was teaching people how to put a business online, right? I think it was Amazon mainly, or drop shipping. Sorry,
drop shipping. Yeah, that's right.
Right. So I said, great, and that I really got to dig in and got to know Ezra really well. Was like, he was just always, Ezra. He's just the most fun guy, the kindest, most thoughtful person. And, so I was having fun getting to know Ezra, working on this brown box formula. But there was this little voice inside saying, they're going to end up wanting you to come down there like once a month all the time. And I think they were sort of having the same feeling. Anyway, long story short, we mutually decided DigitalMarketer and myself decided just wasn't really going to work out because I couldn't be there full time. And I feel like they were still in a place in their business where they really needed someone who's heading up all the projects, the project manager. They really needed that to be in-house. So we decided we're going to part ways. And obviously Ezra was finishing up his project there and he was bummed. He's like, oh, what am I going to do? Like, what am I going to do without you? I'm like, you're going to be fine. Like, I'm sure they have a great project manager there. The other person that I met while I was there at DigitalMarketer was Molly Pittman. And so those two people, as I said, pivotal. Now I'm working with both of them again. But yeah, so I got to meet Molly and she was just coming off being an intern for DigitalMarketer, just became a full-time employee. And I was just like, wow, this girl, Molly, like I was her biggest cheerleader there with DigitalMarketer, saying like, you want to treat this girl right because she's a superstar in the making. And this was in her early days, but I just knew it. I knew there was something special about Molly. Obviously knew there was something special about Ezra, but for me, Colleen Taylor, working for DigitalMarketer in that capacity with all the travel at that time in my life just wasn't right. So parted ways amicably, like we're still good. Everybody's, we're all still friends. And I went and started my own company.
Oh,
And that
wow.
company, and this is in late 2013. And
Mm-hmm.
this company didn't really have a name. It was just me as a sole proprietor. And I thought, I'm going to be a consultant. I'm going to
Right.
help companies, manage projects, build affiliate programs, whatever they need done. I'm going to come in and do it. I'll help hire if you need to hire somebody for that position, if you want an in-house person. But I think I'm better off, having my own company, because it didn't really work out with DigitalMarketer. Kind of made me feel like I got to go on my own and do my own thing. So I did that for a couple years. It was a lot of fun. Met a ton of people again. And at some point, I forget the exact month, but it was in 2016. I think I want to say it was like February or March 2016. So about 3 years after I had started my own thing, I get this Facebook message from Ezra, and it said, "Hey, remember me?" And I was like, "Of course I remember you, of course." And he said, "Well, I've been building my business and I could really use a project manager. And like, when I started to think about who would I want to manage projects for my company, he's like, you're the only person that came to mind. So would you come and help me wrangle my team and make some, calm down the chaos." He's like, "It's chaos. It's still, everything's running so, growing so fast." So I said, "Sure." I said, "But thing is, I have my own company now, so I will come in as a consultant." And he was like, "Oh, I really would like somebody full time." And I said, "I'll tell you what, that's my specialty. I will come in, I'll help wrangle everything, get everything in order, and then I will help you hire the perfect person to do this stuff." Little did I know that I was going to get in there and start wrangling and like fall in love with everyone, including Ezra and everybody on the team that he already had. I was just like, this is the best team ever. Like, everybody cares about everybody else. They're building this crazy, awesome business. And look at them. They're still having fun. Everybody is kind to each other. I was like, where am I? Like, this is paradise. So again, little did I know that like I was the perfect person for that job. And so but I would meet with Ezra every couple, of every week or so and say, all right, here's where we're at. We got the drive all, the organized. We got, we have, at the time we were using, I think we were using Basecamp or Asana at the time. We got our projects all in the, in our project management software. So I think we might be ready to start looking for a person. And he was like, "You're not allowed to leave." No, you're not allowed to leave. What do I have to do to get you? And I was kind of like, I've actually been thinking the same thing. Like, I would really just love to, because, your own business, it's a grind. It's a hustle, man. You're always, always, always hustling. And, there's no overtime and there's no paid sick time and there's no like employee benefits. It's like you own your own business. It is you 24/7, which is fine. And I enjoyed it very much. And I learned a lot of things. But I also really missed having a team of people around me. And he said, "I will put you in a leadership position to help me run my team and help me grow my businesses. And so what do you say?" And so we made it work. And here I am today. And, basically I can't see myself anywhere else. Working
That's
for
amazing.
Ezra and, his family of companies. Yeah. Can't see myself doing anything else.
That's incredible. There's so much to uncover there in your story. So let's take us back to when you first begun. What I caught in your story was that sense of curiosity and I guess ambition in some shape or form that led you to just uncovering like behind the scenes of what's happening at the internet startup where you're a CSR at. And I don't think a lot of people would actually do that. So I guess, do you think that that's what what makes you you and what makes you successful? That curiosity and that drive to learn.
I definitely like to figure out how stuff works, and I think that, I'm a COO now, but, starting out was a project manager. And before that, a CSA, CSR. you know, I think, you know, being inquisitive and wanting to kind of ask the questions and dig a little deeper and look behind things and, you know, really open it up. I think that, especially since the internet was really so new, certainly to me, I know the internet was around for a little while before that, but it was forums and like, it wasn't really the World Wide Web until the 90s. And, you know, for me, I really was like, this is super interesting. I don't know how I can make my art degree fit in here, but it's like, I was born at a time when you didn't go to school to learn internet marketing. You didn't go to school to learn web design. It didn't exist yet. So I was learning, you know, graphics, CAD drawings, and like pen and ink, and learning how to use, you know, those old tools. But I feel like the principles of design are universal. They're kind of embedded in. It doesn't matter what the medium is. It could be digital. It could be paper. It could be whatever. The principles of, you know, color and light and balance and design itself, there, you know, that's the basis of it all. And so I thought, well, I can just apply this design degree to this internet thing. I got to figure out how I can do that. And the first thing that popped into my head was like, I'm seeing these websites all the time. Let me say, how do you make that? I don't know. I have no idea how you make that look like that. I know I can take a picture, you know, with my camera, and I can scan it in. Now I have a digital file, but how do I get this digital file to be part of this page? And how do I click on that link? Like, how does this all work? Every little piece of it was so intriguing to me that I was like, where, you know, the first guy I could ask was the guy sitting next to me, who was the, you know, he was the bootstrapped founder of this company. And clearly he was going to know more than I did. So I just asked him, and he was willing to share. And, you know, it didn't, like I said, I kind of grazed over it real quick, saying, you know, the company shut down. You know, businesses in those days, like the web startups in those days, they were a dime a dozen. They started, they disappeared, you know, and this particular one, he, you know, they weren't doing well. And so he was not paying me, but he was teaching me how to do this stuff. And one of the guys who worked there with me, he left. He was like, listen, he was basically their bookkeeper. And one day he said, Colleen, they're not going to pay you. I know what they have in their bank account. They're never going to pay you. So I'm leaving. I suggest you do the same and go get a different job, because they have no more money left. Meanwhile, the owner is saying like, oh, we're going to get a check. Like, he was trying to keep me there because I was helping keep his business alive. For the few customers that came, at least he had a you know, someone to service them. And anyway, so this guy left, and I said, I appreciate the warning, but this guy's teaching me something brand new that I don't know. I don't know where else would I go find out how to do this. He's teaching me every day after work. He'll stay 2-3 hours and teach me how to make a marquee. You know, remember the marquee tag? Yeah, you could make text scroll across. I'm like, my mind was blown every day. And so I said, when I feel like, I felt like the value exchange was just not cash for hours. It was like there was a different value exchange going on. I wanted to learn something. He was willing to teach me. And I felt like I'm working my shift. And that to me was payment for what he was teaching me. That's how I justified it in my head, to stay without getting a paycheck for, I don't know, 5-6 weeks. I couldn't live that long without any money, right? So I left, and I went and got another job. But I had this new tool in my brain. The problem was I did not have a computer. So I was like, you know, going stir crazy. Like, I have this new, like, how do I, and I couldn't afford a computer. So I was like, I knew the universe was going to provide it somehow. And part of the thing was I kept on, you know, going to learn HTML from this guy. And one day he said, you know, I said, I can't, I have to go get a job. So, you know, he was like, all right, well, when I get money, I'll give you a call, and I'll definitely, you know, like, I'm good for it. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And I didn't want to drag it out. So I left. And maybe like 3 weeks later, he did call me. He probably owed me like $3,000, which then was like $1 million, Josh. I was like so much money.
Trust me,
And
I understand that. Yeah.
Right. So, I said, he called me one day and he said, hey, I have like, I forget, it was $500 or $700. He's like, I know it's not all I owe you, but if you come out to the office, I will at least give you that. Like, just a show of good faith that I am good for it, whatever. So I was like, all right, I'm not gonna turn that down. So I went out to the office. The doors were open. It was in like a strip mall. So I opened the doors, went in there, nobody there. I was like, oh, maybe he went to get some coffee or something. So I just sat down and waited for like 2 hours, dude. I was like, this is $700. I'm going to get this money. I sat there for like 2 hours. And finally I was like, he's not coming. And how ridiculous is that he would call me and then not be there with my money. So I was really annoyed. I don't get annoyed easily, but like I was really annoyed. And so I wrote him a note and I said, you know, I'm really bummed. You made me come all the way out here. You know, it's not about the money. It's more like you just disrespected me. Like I have other things to do. I have another job that I stopped, you know. And so I said, tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this computer, this tower and this monitor. This is, you know, and when you call me with that $700, I'll bring it back to you. So I now had a computer. I brought that computer home and I was in business. And then I started, going around town and asking people if they needed a website and explaining what a website was. But now I had the tool to create websites with. So yeah, and he never called me. So
never called back. Wow.
So that was and it was a 386 computer. I don't know if you know what that is either, but
I have no idea. What is that?
A 386. I mean, they had, and I couldn't tell you, it literally had probably like, I don't know, like 500 megabytes of storage, but it was like, it was old school. Look it up, like Google it.
I'm looking at that right now.
I don't know what and I had a 56K modem.
Wow.
Yeah, 56K modem. So you had to like have 2 phone lines or give up your phone while you were on the internet.
Yep.
And basically, that was how I started my internet
journey. You know. That's incredible. And now you're looking. So before we started the interview, you mentioned that you're looking for a new project manager right now.
Yeah.
And
we're
I guess
training her. Yeah, we hired her.
Oh, you did? Okay.
We hired her. I shouldn't say that. She's a customer service agent from our company. And we believe in, if the person shows interest and they show, they can learn new things and like they really, we like to elevate people from within the company. So she's been with the company for a couple years, part-time for a while, then she went full-time. And, we needed a junior project manager and she was interested and a couple people were, and I said, I want to give her the opportunity to be the project manager. So yeah.
What set her apart? What set her apart? And I just wanted to say that you saw something special in Molly while she was just an intern at DigitalMarketer.com. And I don't think a lot of people have that vision, that foresight. And I think that's a gift. That's your genius. How did you identify this CSR, and how do you say? Yeah, how do you know that she's going to be a great project manager?
I would say first and foremost is her, and this is not to say anything, negative about the other people who are interested. Everyone on our team is amazing and lovely, but for me, it is personality and like how I interact with that person. How are they with other people? How do they take a tough day? How do they treat other people when the chips are down, when it's a little, and when I say the chips are down, for example, this girl is in customer service, and as the COO/project manager, I attend the customer service calls every week, and I'm in the mix. Like I'm down in the, in the mix with these ladies, and, Sometimes it's like super, super busy and it's rough. And again, not to say anybody was negative, but this girl is like a bright light, so positive, just all the time. She's just like super positive and funny. And, I just, she cares about people. She has a lot of empathy for people who are, especially customers that call in, they have a particular issue with one of our products or whatever. She just wraps everything in kindness. And, that to me, like I said before we started, this interview, kindness is everything. And again, not to say that our other ladies aren't super kind, they're amazing, but she stood out. I think it's a combination of her kindness, she has a little bit of like a self-deprecating humor, which I also have, like, oh, I'm such a dummy, I forgot that, like not, right. We're not beating ourselves up, but one thing, it's humility. You have to be humble when you're doing, when you're working with projects and you're working with outside, people who are outside of your company. You want to stay humble, and there's going to be people outside the company who might not have the same values as we have inside the company in terms of how you treat people. And guess what? You can't let that person get to you. You got to you got to know. I mean, obviously, if it turns into abuse, if someone on the outside, some outside vendor is being abusive verbally or whatever, we would just sever ties. But if someone's just a little rougher, a little tougher for whatever reason, you got to be able to sort of absorb that and make it work for you and have a good attitude about it. Always turn it into to a good outcome. And this girl just has that. She just has that.
That's incredible. So what I'm hearing is that you're prioritizing the softer elements of what makes a project manager successful more so than the technical skills.
Yep. Definitely.
How do you fill in for those gaps then on the technical side?
Obviously, again, the person that you have come in to be a project manager has to be detail oriented. They have to, care about finishing projects. They have to care about checking off boxes. Like if it's a checklist, you have the SOP, do it the right way, no shortcuts, that kind of thing. You have to be able to do the job right. But ultimately, you can be the best project manager. And I say that loosely because I do feel like the project manager, it's people management, honestly. Like people are a big part of project management, but you could be good at the technical stuff. You could be the best at the technical stuff and lack in people skills, and you will not be as successful. You will, we've had in our companies, we've had people who are highly, highly talented in project management or whatever their particular role, but just are a little less socially intelligent. One of my favorite authors is Daniel Goleman. He wrote a couple books, Social Intelligence, Emotional Intelligence. Yep. Those are my two Bibles, emotional and social intelligence. And, ultimately, if you don't know how to treat people, you could be the best and you're going to be on an island all by yourself. Nobody's going to want to support that. Nobody's going to teach that. It does, help you be successful if that kindness and, isn't coming back out. I had the very first time I ever spoke on a stage was with Eben, and I was so nervous. I didn't know what to talk about. So he said, just keep it real. Talk about what matters to you. And it's 10 minutes. It was just sort of like hey, let's get my team up on stage, 10 minutes, whatever. So that stuck with me. He said, keep it real. So I took the acronym REAL, keep it real. And I was like, how can I, because that was my way of tying it to something short and something that I could just focus on without, getting all philosophical. So I said, all right, keep it real. I can do that. And I basically attached one word to each of the letters in the word real. Recognize. So you want to recognize the talent on your team. You want to pay attention to what people are doing on your team. You want to elevate. So that's the E in real. You want to elevate. When you see somebody who is doing a great job, don't take credit for it. you want to elevate that person. Make sure people know. Like now we have Slack, and we have a special channel in Slack. It's our general channel where it's just for like shout outs, like so-and-so did such a great job today. Or, our customer service manager will post like, I was just going through the tickets and I noticed how so-and-so answered this customer. And I thought it was a really good example of how you should interact when there's maybe a, not so perfect interaction going on. This is a great way to like turn it around. And she'll post that. It's about elevating people, making them feel like, hey, I'm doing a good job. So that's RE. So recognize, elevate. A is bring your A game. Like you want to be, you want to show people how it's done. So you need to lead by that example, bring your A game. And then L, the L in real is be likable. And in our company, I say be lovable. Like you want to be the person that everybody likes working with. And that's sort of like, that's literally my philosophy for running a team. Keep it real. And that acronym sticks with me. Thank you, Eben Pagan, for, and all he said was like, just keep it real, girl. And I sort of, because I was so nervous, I was like, all right, I'm going to just make it nice and concise. And this is how I can make it not scary, make a little acronym. So yeah, so that's kind of just, that's how I try to lead.
Amazing. That's incredible. And so when you came in to work with Ezra, I remember in one of the interviews that you did with Ezra I think it was a promotional webinar. Ezra mentioned, yeah, I believe so. And Ezra mentioned that you came in and you brought, well, I'm paraphrasing here, but you brought the company from feeling like we're never caught up with things to a place where you're somewhat in control of what's happening, where organization creates so much space that it allows for the company to grow.
Right.
Now, what's that first step that a company can take to going from feeling like we're never caught up to feeling in control?
I would say, and this is literally, I take these words directly from Ezra, is take inventory. And what I mean by taking inventory is not like counting how many objects you have, how many things in your store. Taking inventory means spreading out on this is obviously, not in the physical sense, but like spreading out all the projects you have, all the things that are going on, all the, you want to get it all so you can see it. You want to take inventory of it. You want to say, all right, well, we've got a product launch over here, and we have, we want to make sure we're doing, annual reviews with all of our employees. And we also have, and this is, I'm talking Smart Marketer, but it also applied to Boom as well. For example, how many product launches are we going to do this year? We didn't know. At that time, we were like, however many we can handle without blowing up. And so by taking inventory, it meant like looking historically and saying, all right, well, what did we do last year? And then like, all right, do we want to do that again this year? Or do we want to kind of up our game a little bit? Just getting it all mapped out so you could see what you did, where things were. Part of that was also creating a space in Google Drive where everybody knew where stuff was. So we created like a storage structure inside the drive where, okay, you're the design team, all the design stuff goes in this folder, and it was more, broken out than that, but all the copy goes in this folder, all the whatever. Making some type of organizational structure, even if it's just like a first pass, just like clean it up so that people know where stuff is. So it's not like, oh, that's on my hard drive my external hard drive that I left at my girlfriend's house, or that's, whatever. Right. And then, so that was part of, so taking inventory, just like see what you got. What do you have going on? And then where can we put a process around that so that we know, for example, let's do a product launch. Okay, what do we need for a product launch? And then it's like, oh, well, we need all the emails. And so, at the time, again, it's Smart Marketer, Ruben, he is our lead copywriter at Smart Marketer. Hey, Ruben, you write the emails for this thing. And, he knew what he was doing, but he would still need a lot of, consulting with Ezra on, the positioning and all that stuff. And it was like they were working real time for something that's, okay, we want to have this thing next week. So Ruben would be writing emails right up to the last minute. There was no system around it. And so it was like, all right, well, let's create some documentation, some SOPs. How do you do this? What are the steps that you take? How much time do you need to do them? So that we could start putting them on a calendar, again, that everybody could see. So now we have a drive, everybody can see it. We have a calendar, everyone can see it. Everyone in the company knows, oh, that's that thing we're trying to do next week. They could visually see it. And I think that was the beginnings of starting to, starting to get people to feel like they weren't in silos. You're part of this bigger thing that's going on. So yeah, that was really the key, I would say. And then of course we got some project management software going. We started with Asana, then we switched to Trello, but we got a system. Doesn't matter what you're using, as long as everybody's using the same thing. I remember when we were trying to decide what to use, I was like, all right, well, what's everyone using now? And at the time, somebody was using Google Keep. I don't even know what that is.
Okay. Yeah.
Using Evernote. We had people writing in notebooks. So we had like literally pen and paper, back of the napkin. We had then we had some people using just, Google Calendar. So you can see and that's great. Like everybody was keeping track of their own little thing. But again, in their own silo. Like I know what I'm doing, but they had no idea what anyone else was doing or where things were on the plate. I shouldn't say no. I mean, obviously, Ezra did pretty well without having a lot of these systems early on. And a lot of that was just pure adrenaline and genius and excitement. And everybody on the team was down for the cause. They were like, yes, like Ezra, we believe in you. We want to be part of this. And that comes from his kindness. Like if you're a jerk, excuse my French, but like if you're not a nice person, you're not going to get people to come and help you and follow you in this chaos. And like you're working 12-hour days because, oh, I forgot to tell you I need 6 emails because we're going to do this thing tomorrow. It didn't matter. Everyone wanted to participate and help be part of that exciting win. And you're only going to want to do that, especially in the early days. You're only going to want to do that if the leader is cool, if he's, genuine and, generous and kind and understanding and all of those things. And that is what Ezra is. He's all of those things and then some, So that's really how he was able to build it to where he was able to build it without a lot of systems in place. And then he brought me in. And because he and I are in alignment on how to run a company, which is kindness first, his philosophy is there's the top 3 in his businesses are, it's got to be fun. That's number 1. If it's not fun, and fun, it incorporates kindness and all that stuff. If it's not fun, if you're not feeling good about it, what are you doing? So it's got to be fun. You have to be putting good things out in the world. So your product can't be just like some crazy, dumb product or bad in any way. It has to be adding value to the world. And the third thing is it has to make money. So of course, it has to make money. But he says that's third. And that's third for a very important reason. First, it's got to be fun. Then you got to be putting good stuff out. And then you got to be making money in that order. And, he really feels very strongly about that. And I can see how he got as far as he got without the organization part based on that philosophy. He's like, they were having fun. And because they knew they were putting out good products, they were making money. So it was working. But to scale, you got to have some foundation. You got to have some organization in there. And that's what he called me in to do in 2016.
And scale. That's the interesting part. So when you first came in 2016, where was the company at? Was it 10 mil a year at that point in time?
Smart Marketer. I didn't come into Boom right away, so I can't really speak to the numbers at that time for Boom. But for Smart Marketer, it was definitely not 10 million. it was probably a couple million. I'm not really sure exactly what the revenue was when I first started, but it was more about being not being sustainable for in that current form. It was like everyone was on adrenaline and excitement, and they're down, but like these are young career minded people who after a while it's like you need to sleep or you need normal hours, you want to have a raise. We have to be growing at a pace that will keep up with giving people raises and making sure that they're coming up in their careers. So it was important to put things in place that would allow the company to grow bigger, so that those things could happen, so that we could bring in more talent. And like someone like Amali Pittman, who ended up coming from DigitalMarketer. Now she left DigitalMarketer a few years after I did, and then she became a superstar at DigitalMarketer, and then went on to do a couple of her own things, and then lo and behold found herself with Smart Marketer, because Smart Marketer, I feel like, is a magnet for super awesome people. It just is.
I love that. And going from a couple mil a year and being super disorganized, and I guess in your words unsustainable, to right now a 40 mil a year business as a group. What's that? How do you feel about that growth? Because it's from looking from outside in, that's incredible for any business to go 2, 3, 4x in 3 years is insane.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Or was it kind of expected, or how? Yeah.
I think with Ezra, he really believes in himself. He knows what he's capable of. And so I'm definitely not saying I'm just along for the ride, because I really do feel like I add a lot of value, and, I'm able to help the team, stay organized and really keep the calendar on track and make all those things happen. But ultimately it's Ezra, and, it's really the whole leadership team, but Ezra really stays, he stays in it. He's in the game of the everyday business in terms of learning, what's working with marketing, because it's really all the marketing. The marketing is, the top of the funnel. He understands how to get more people in the door. And then we've just gotten better and better at the rest of the funnel, obviously top of the funnel. We're able to bring tons of people in. We have an excellent, chief marketing officer who just gets it. He also gets the ethos of the brand. He understands the demographic, which is, not necessarily super easy for a young man to market to women of 50 and older, but again, a lot of it comes from who they are as people at their core. They understand relationships. They understand, women, because they care, they really do care about providing the experience that woman, and they could do it with any other demographic too. But this, in Boom, it happens to be a woman over 50. They understand how, and they listen, especially to our customer. Our customer base is very vocal. They tell you what they like and what they don't like. And we, move with that. And I think it was inevitable that it was going to get to be this size, because they continue to keep their ear to the ground and listen to what people want. And I say people, but this particular group of people, they listen to what they want. They listen to what new products they want. And then we go about giving them what they want, giving them more of what they want, wrapped in this community of authentic, real caring about them. Like, they know it's not a gimmick. It's not like we're just saying we care about you, but we really just want you to buy stuff from us. Everything we do, the entire ethos of the brand, is about creating a winning, pleasurable experience for the customer. from everything, from the product, obviously the product, very important, the ingredients, the packaging. I mean, look, Josh, I'm like, right now I'm approving boxes for, different products. This is all, it's hemp paper. We're very environmentally conscious. I'll show this. I think I can get away with showing this because product has been launched. This is our, if you can see it, it's called Boom Bright. This is our mascara. So, we make cosmetics and skincare for women 50 and over. Obviously anybody can use them, but we're marketing to women 50 and older.
Yeah.
And they were asking for a mascara. You don't have any like eye products. I'd love to get that. So we send a post-purchase survey. Every time somebody buys something, we send them a survey. What else would you like us to make? What other products would you like to see Boom make? Top one for a long time was mascara. So we made it. It took us a few years, development, it's very, it's not only is it, made for this woman who's over 50, everything from the color we chose, it's a very soft black versus like a real bold black, although some women like to, go bolder with their eyes, but we thought we're going to start with this. Everything down to the packaging. This is, you can kind of probably see it's very bendy. This is sugar cane plastic. So it is not, so it's like more environmentally
biodegradable. Nice.
Yeah. This little brush, the wand, and this all goes into our marketing. So like the little wand that we use is, the materials that it's made of are as eco-conscious as we can possibly get with it still being a functional brush. We also encourage people we have a couple of content articles where we talk about, you can actually send this wand into to a wildlife rescue center, because when, wildlife gets, if there's an oil spill or some, whatever it might be, they clean these, they sanitize these brushes, these little mascara brushes, and they brush the oil out of like a duck's feathers or a little animal's fur, whatever. They can recycle them. So people feel good. And we have a gal on our team who, that's her jam. Like, she is passionate and into all things environmental. So she finds the vendors that make the hemp paper, and she finds the vegetable inks, and she finds the sugar, the sugar cane plastic, and she does all the research so that we can be true to our brand and we can offer our customers even more of a feel-good experience. It's like, not only are you buying really, really good cosmetics, because we make them with, organic ingredients whenever possible, natural ingredients, but we also are thinking about the packaging. We're thinking about the bubble mailer that we mail them in is biodegradable, all of those things, because it all adds up to sort of the profile or the ethos of your company. So like I was saying earlier, when we are obsessed with it. So we get into it, and now we are into every detail of it, down to the ink that we print our little mailers on is vegetable-based ink. We're really think about all that stuff. So.
And this all stemmed from just customer feedback. And I love that idea. And I'm going to, if you don't mind, I'm going to steal that idea and use it in some of our brands as well.
Right.
Moving it back. Yeah, that's incredible. Using a post-purchase survey via email to close the loop on customer feedback and turning that into a product. That's amazing.
Full flow on that. Like, it's a full post-purchase flow. It's, the first email might be, is a thank you email. Thanks so much. Your product will be shipped in whatever. And then there's another one that comes a couple days later that has the survey, like, hey, you purchased X on your last visit. What other products could we make? And they fill out this survey, and it populates into a Slack channel so that we can see it. Like, every day we can see what people are saying. And then we can parse that data. And obviously what we did was we determined that mascara, number one, the next product that we're going to, launch in about 2 months now, that was the next highest thing on the list. And down the line, we are really listening to what customers saying.
That's incredible. One final question. If you had a billboard in the middle of the busiest highway in America, what would you tell the world, what would you put on the billboard if you had just one sentence that you could put on there?
I probably could boil it down to 2 words. Kindness matters. Kindness matters.
Beautiful.
Be good to people.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Colleen, this has been a masterclass in people management, in building a team, in doing well while doing good, and content marketing. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. And
of course, Josh, it was so much fun. Thank you for asking me. Yeah.
And if people like to connect with you, I'm sure there's going to be a ton of follow-up questions. How could they get in touch with you?
Well, I'm on Facebook, Colleen Taylor. I'm on Instagram. I'm probably on LinkedIn, although I don't really look at that very often, but I'm on Instagram, Colleen Taylor 760. Email me, Colleen@boombycindijoseph. I'm very reachable.
Awesome. Colleen, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thanks, Josh. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the E-commerce Profits Podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get notified of future episodes.